You're back on stage then, Lulu. July, Kew Gardens.
You know, we just put that light on and I'm like...
Yeah, so you're looking forward to it again?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, first of all, it's great to have this wonderful summer weather and to be able to do outdoor gigs like Kew Gardens. Yeah, so that's on the 10th of July, and I've got some friends coming on with me, Kiki D and Paul Carrick, and maybe a few other friends too.
Wow.
Are you aware that someone started an online petition to get you a Brit Award? How about that?
Oh, yes, isn't that nice?
I was voting tonight.
Were you in there? Were you?
Twice.
You started it.
Good, eh?
Is that? Yeah.
For an outstanding achievement award.
Isn't that nice? Just for lasting this long, I think. Yes.
That's good. I mean, you're one of the top 5 women from the UK to have made it big, particularly in the US, which is it's not a huge number, isn't it, when you think of it, Lulu? What is it about yourself and others like Petula Clark, who indeed will be on the show tomorrow? And I mean, what is it that has made you the global success?
But why is somebody a global success? Well, you know, in my case, and I think if you think of Petula Clark too, with me it was a song called To Soar With Love, and it's about the song. If the song has a universal appeal, like Leona Lewis, for instance, with Bleeding Love.
Yeah.
Petula, I think, was probably Downtown.
Yes,
I think that's what I think helps you, you know, sort of cross over into other countries.
And they're liked all over the world.
Yeah.
And reinventing yourself, I think, is a big part of it, isn't it? You look at Madonna, and how many decades now has she been on the go, as it were? But
you can't compare anybody to Madonna.
Well, maybe not.
She's like stands there.
But Leona's also following in your, or could be following in your footsteps, because we understand that she may be doing the Bond song for the next Bond movie. And you did that, and that puts you on the world stage.
I did, and it's a marvellous thing. Oh, perfect for Leona. I love Leona Lewis.
Yeah, but you had a great Bond song. We've not had a good Bond song.
We were talking about that earlier, weren't we?
Bonds now.
I think there's been a lot of good Bond songs myself, but I think if Leona and Simon Cowell will be finding the song for her, and she's so successful that she'll get a great song, I'm sure. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah,
who's Simon Cowell?
Yeah, I don't know.
Somebody
haven't got a clue. He hasn't been on the one show, so I don't know.
So he's no one. He's a nobody.
Anyway, what makes you laugh? Would it be Arkwright's Till slamming shut, Little Britain's Vicky Pollard, or even Basil Fawlty bashing a branch over the bonnet of his car?
I remember that. But apparently humour is not about comedy. You may have thought it was. Here's the science bit. And your report says that it's all down to our brain recognising a pattern of surprises, and is then rewarded with the experience of a humorous response. I've no idea what I just said.
No, it's very complicated, isn't it? But who better to figure it out for us? Our Giles Brandreth works out whether humour is a science or whether we should just forget all about it and enjoy a good old giggle.
Laughter is a fundamental part of everyday human life. It's so common that we sometimes forget how strange and important it is.
And comedy has been making us laugh since the time of the ancient Greeks. Here at the Globe Theatre, currently, some of Shakespeare's greatest comedies are playing to packed houses. But what exactly is making the audiences laugh?
Well, in a nutshell, what we find amusing is when the brain recognises a pattern that surprises it.
And that's true in Shakespeare's day, and it's true today, is it?
It's true of any comedy or any humour, because the content of that comedy isn't important, because the pattern that is recognised is according to the individual.
Twelfth Night is a comedy. We come here, we laugh.
Some people laugh. Not all people laugh. And this is what we have to look at very carefully here. We can't say inherently that one thing is any funnier than anything else, in fact, because the patterns that are recognised are dependent upon the experience of the individual. And this is what's important. What we have to do is analyse how and why things are funny, not what it is that's funny.
The science is mind-boggling. Let's get back to basics and remember that the fundamentals of comedy include
Crazy screwball comedy, humour from comical situations and characters. Slapstick, exaggerated physical activity which exceeds the boundaries of common sense. Romantic, love in humorous terms, able to surmount most obstacles. And bawdy, violating conventions in hilarious ways. Oh no, missus. One kind of comedy that covers a multitude of sins is stand-up. Perhaps here I could learn the basics of making people laugh.
Yesterday I saw a chicken crossing the road. I asked it why. It told me it was none of my business.
I don't think there's anything you can put your finger on and go, this is it, this is what makes a person funny, because it's different for every person. A good comedian will tell you a joke and they'll give the audience that sort of thing that they've seen, that kind of, oh yeah, it's funny, I saw that coming, but then they'll throw them an extra line on the end of it, and that's kind of like the main element of the joke.
I broke a mirror in my house. Apparently I'm supposed to get 7 years bad luck, but I've got a very good lawyer hoping to get me off with 5.
Absolute confidence, because if you sell a joke, whether it's funny or not, you've got to sell it. When you've got a joke and you know what's funny about it, think about where the funny bits are. This is where the audience laughed, dum-da-dum-da-dum, bang. Make sure it's at the end.
Keen to put this theory of comedy to the test, I hit the streets armed with some of the world's worst jokes.
So how does a man on the moon get his hair cut?
I have no idea.
He clips it.
What did the plate say to the other plate?
I don't know.
Lunch is on me!
You've got to get it right, punch it across.
Why did the toilet paper roll down the hill?
Much better.
Why? Why? To get to the bottom?
You crack it up. Don't apologise for it, just...
What's green and fluffy and comes from Mars? Martians. A marshmallow.
Well, they did say the unexpected was what it takes. And you being funny was quite unexpected.
Do we actually need to analyse comedy? Can't we be happy just having a laugh?
But one thing is certain. For anything to be funny, you need that essential ingredient. An audience.
He loves it too, doesn't he?
Giles in his element. He's got an audience. He's like oxygen to him.
He's great. He's
Now, Lulu,
so
what
great.
makes you laugh?
Any of Catherine Tate's characters. I worship at Catherine Tate's feet.
Yeah.
What's the girl, Lauren? See this face? I'm above it.
I know.
I mean, I love it. And Kevin Faye, you know, how very dare you. I love all her characters, so there you are.
Yeah.
I could watch her all night, every night.
Yeah, she's so fun. Let me see you do Bofford again.
Look at that face. I'm above it. I'm above it too.
Superb. Lulu, that's a new career for you.
Even Tony Blair got in the
I know, well, exactly.
Yes, he did.
Remember?
He did.
Yeah, Lulu.
And we knew what we always knew. He's an actor.
He's an
Yeah, that's a political thing coming in.
Wrong show.
No,
Sorry, wrong
He had to get in with that one.
Well, the paper's full of doom and gloom. We want to know what makes you smile, and in particular, we want to know what makes you happy to be British and indeed Irish. Let us know at bbc.co. And Scottish.
And Scottish.
Yeah, bbc.co.uk/The One Show.
And Scottish. Now, all this week, Carol Thatcher is taking a look at the everyday things that are marking their 100th birthday. Already this week, she's celebrated Chinese food in Britain and the centenary of the tea bag. That was a seminal moment in our history.
Today, it's something that could save a life, and it did, especially that fateful night aboard the RMS Titanic.
This remains the most famous SOS message ever sent, from the Titanic as she foundered in the icy Atlantic in April 1912. Wireless officers Jack Phillips and Harold Bride stayed at their posts, tapping out the distress signal until the last minute. 1,500 people perished, including Mr. Phillips. But without those radio signals for help, surely everyone would have been lost. The letters SOS never actually stood for Save Our Souls, but were chosen for their simple sound in Morse code. It was a new concept. In fact, wireless itself was still new. But as more ships from more countries used it, the more important it became to have an instantly recognisable distress signal. So in 1908, through an international radio agreement, the code SOS came into force. And within 4 years, 4,000 lives had been saved. Samuel Morse had invented his Morse code sent along telegraph wires in the 1830s. But Guglielmo Marconi set the world free by developing a wireless system. Marconi came here to the Lizard in Cornwall to perfect wireless communication with ships. Why did Marconi, who after all was Italian, come all the way to Cornwall?
Well, he came here because he couldn't sell his equipment in Italy, and his mother, who was Annie Jameson, the Irish whiskey family, said, "Come to England, your cousins will help you."
He chose the spot to give a clear signal out into the Atlantic and up the English Channel.
He moved this Great Western Railway hut here. It opened on the 18th of January 1901. 5 days later, he received signals from the Isle of Wight 186 miles away, more than double the previous record.
Marconi had a team here for years, and in 1910 the new coastal service that sent and received all sorts of messages had its biggest triumph of all. They picked up the first SOS ever to be received on land, direct from a ship in trouble at sea.
Well, the Minnehaha went aground on the Isles of Scilly. She'd been 3 days in thick fog. And on this equipment they heard SOS, SOS. All the passengers and crew were taken ashore, the cargo was landed and the ship was refloated. The Minnehaha was the first known ship to send SOS to be received by a coast station, and that happened virtually right where you're standing at the moment.
For the rest of the century, the wireless networks fell silent every half hour to listen for the faintest SOS calls in Morse code. But no more, since modern technology came up with new ways of communicating and summoning help.
We have received an emergency beacon alert from a vessel 53.6 minutes north.
It's not like the Morse days. This is a very, very quiet approach. Communications today are high-tech mobile phones, satellite communications, or just a simple telephone call itself. So it could be anything. But the confirmation, of course, is the actual message coming off the screen, and that's the message that kicks it off. Maybe just half a mile from our shore, or 3,000 miles into the Atlantic, or quite recently incidents way down to the South Atlantic as well.
Sana, this is Falmouth Coast Guard. Roger, and your position please, over.
Thousands of radio enthusiasts still use Morse code to communicate. But it was perhaps the Titanic disaster that introduced the Morse code expression SOS to everyday language. Marconi himself made sure of that, because when the survivors came home, he stood on the quayside with a journalist at his elbow. He'd spread the story that SOS and his wireless equipment were, from that moment on, indispensable.
Excellent. There's a precision in it though, isn't there, Carol? It's not an easy thing to do.
Oh, SOS, no, I mean, if I did it, I mean, you do it perfectly. Mine would turn out like something like Tutankhamun loves Lulu. And Lulu and I were just talking about how much we adore Cornwall.
Oh, we love Cornwall.
Why do you think Christine can do it? Can you do it?
Can I do it?
Yes, just you wait. Come along.
I think that is it.
Actually, there's 3 fire engines.
Oh, yeah.
And an ambulance turned up outside.
So it's impressive, very impressive.
And my gin and tonic's on the way.
Now you're talking. Along with the vodka for the orange juice to bring us full circle. I knew the items would be connected. What do you do if you make a mistake on this?
Well, I think actually the operators knew very well how to do it. I mean, there is actually a system. And it saved, as I said in the piece, it saved thousands of lives. I mean, Marconi actually was a very colourful individual. And by the way, just along the Marconi hut where we were filming, they make the best Cornish pasties in Cornwall. There's your restaurant tip.
Because the Titanic was built in Belfast.
Yes, it was fine when it left us. That's all.
Are you sure?
Oh, yes.
Was there not just a little crack along the side? No?
Absolutely not. We're not
Shouldn't
like
have
that.
taken the ice with it.
We're very happy with our
We've
work.
got Christine batting for Belfast, quite rightly, honey.
What else is coming up in the series? What's on tomorrow?
Oh, the 100th anniversary. Now, I got the impression you thought I was 100. Not quite yet.
No.
But tomorrow, I'm doing the 100th anniversaries of Hoovers, and then we move on to teddy bears. It's been such a good week.
Good, good. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. There we go. Yes.
That's great. Well, listen, thanks to all of our guests. That's it for tonight. On tomorrow's show, Mr. Paparazzi, Darren Lyne, snaps back at the justice system. Still think celebs flout the law.
Yes, thank you very much, ladies. Thank you, Lulu. And from one successful female recording artist to another, Petula Clark is here tomorrow at 7. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.